This is lesson 27. Okay, your Poritz, sie ist der Malamed-Weib und sie ist stumme. Yes, Poritz. Yes, Lord, she is the wife of the teacher, and she is mute. Toib stumm. She is deaf and mute. Das ist etwas a ness. This is apparently a miracle because she spoke. Oi, Mama Leine. Oh, my mama. Kinder mir nicht geht. Good. This is from the crowd. So, children, friends, I'm not feeling well. When a Bible is a falgetun halushis, and one of the women fell down, fainted. Ratevitzli, Vasir, save her, do something for her, bring her water. Finster is me. Oh, dark in my eyes. This is bad for me. Und noch a Yidne, but a Bekachalish. And another Jewish woman passed out. Not went unconscious, but passed out. Jakob hat sich herabgebeugen und geholfen Sachen aufstehen. Yaakov bent down and helped Sarah to stand up. The Körper ihrer hat verloren die Macht. Her body had lost its power, its strength. Die Hände und Füße seien zurückgefallen zu der Erde. Her hands and feet fell down to the ground again. It was as though she was limp. Yaakov hat sie, wie sie ist, aufgestellt. Yaakov tried to make her stand up where she had fallen. That a reasonable explanation of that sentence. Tried to make her stand up. Hat sie gehalten bei ein Ohr und bei ein Achsel. He held her by her arm and by her shoulder. Der Kopf ihrer is a falgetun auf sein Brust. Her head fell on his chest. Sie hat geschluchzt mit krempig, schluchzenisch, gier gezittert, sich wie gestickt mit die Krampfen. She was sobbing with a like cramped sob, quickly, and she was shaking, and she was filled with cramps. She was taken with cramps, or gestickt. She was how would you pronounce?
Choking, perhaps.
With cramps. Jacob's talis cotton, dort wo Sarah hat ungelehnt das Ponim, ist geworden warm und nass. Jacob's fringed garment, where she had laid her head, when she laid it against his chest, became warm and wet from her body. Der Poet hat angespart die Hand an dem Händel von dem Schwert. The Poet put his hand on the handle of his sword. Was ist das, Jidelech? Ihr spielt bei mir Theater? What's going on here, Jews? You're putting on a play for me here? Kein schon Theater, Lichtikel. No theater at all. Oh, bright one. Sie ist taub und stumm. She is deaf and mute. Taub wie die Wand, deaf as the wall, and stumm wie wie a fish, and mute as a fish. Jo Poret's Leben, mir können sie alle erstummen. Yes, dear Poretz, everybody here knows her. She is known to us as a mute person. Haben sich gehört Kolos. Voices were heard. The crowd was speaking. Seid ihr bereit zu schweren darauf? You're ready to swear on that? Jo, Geschätzter, wir haben alle nicht ausgetracht, kein Liegen. Oh, yes, great one. We have
Your Honor, perhaps?
Your Honor, that's the better way of putting it. They have all different names for this fine chap. Yes, Your Honor. We are not thinking, we have not thought of a lie. He, du Yid, Jacob, is dein Weib a Stumme? Hey, you, Jew, Jacob, is your wife a mute? Jacob hat kamelech aufgehoben dem Kopf. Jacob slowly lifted up his head. Ja, a Stumme. Yes, a mute. Allemal? Forever? All the time? Seit ich hab mit ihr Chasene gehabt. From the time that I married her. Und Jakob hat dir beigetragen, als solch nicht hinlegen. And Jacob thought to himself that in saying this, he had not lied. Sie hat schon aufgehört reden, wenn hat gestellt mit ihr a chuppah. She had stopped talking, at least publicly, from the time that he had set up for her a marriage canopy. Alle Weiber haben jetzt genommen schreien mit dem Mund und sagen, als die Sarah ist stumm. All the women began to scream together and in groups say that Sarah was indeed a mute. Andere haben geschworen bei dem Mannen, bei den Kindern, bei dem eigenen Leben. Others swore by their husband, by the children, and by their own lives. Die Pachokes haben geöffnet die Meiler. And I think this was corrected last time when I was wrong. The sort of the work people, the people who were Adam's helpers, so to speak, opened their mouths. Their mouths fell open. Pilitsky hat etwas wie übergetragen. Pilitsky seemed to sort of stop to think for a little bit. Ich glaub nicht, Jidelech. Ich glaub nicht. Jews, I don't believe. I don't believe. Das ist einer von eurer Schleuerstück. This is just an example of one of your crafty tricks. Ihr wollt mich verschwindeln. You're trying to swindle me. You're trying to trick me. Machen von mir ein Narr. Make me for a fool. Yeah. Gedenkt Jidelech, ob es soll sich herausweisen, als ihr hat geliked. And look, Jews, if it turns out that you have lied, will ich die heut von euch schinden Lebendigkeit. I'm going to skin you alive. Ich will euch alle in euer, and I don't know what a Buschnitzel reintreiben, a Buschnitzel in your little, what is he talking about in there? I mean, I think I know what it is in your shul. I'll drive you into it. Und sie entzünden. And I'm going to make it flame. I'm going to put it on fire. Ihr wird sich dort pamelech oprotten. You'll slowly burn there. Is my nomen nicht Piliske? And I'll do that. My name is Piliski. I'm going to do that. Poritz, Lipter, es is der Emes. Poritz, beloved Poritz, it's the truth. Now we go into his brain. Wie wohl Pilitsky hat gesucht die Jiden, als sie nahmen op, is im Gewein klar, as the Yidden sagen de wohl. Although Pilitsky had told the Jews that they were tricking him, it was clear to him that the Jews were telling the truth. Hat es der Kont und sehr Ponymer als die on die vergafter Blicken. He could see it on their faces and on their very astonished looks that this had been a nest that the Stummer spoke. A nest is gehat geschehen. A miracle occurred. An oysterlichter nest, an outstanding miracle. Seit es haben sich ungeheuben in Polen Milchomas, die Invasies, hat Adam Pilitsky nähert getrachten von Nissen. From the time that the began in Poland, the wars and the invasions, Adam Pilitsky had only thought about miracles. Blois a nes but gekonnt bar Schirmen Poland. Only a miracle could save Poland. Der Prier Kodewskis Widerstand in der Belagerung von Częstochower Kloster, the prior, a certain priest in the siege from the cloister, that was oneness, und General Stefan Czarneckis Marsch gegen die Schweden, and General Stefan Czarneckis march against the Swedes, is wahrhaftig gewesen a Ness, was hat aufgelebt Polen, beneit dem Gläuben in Catholicism. And the stand up, how would you, the march, yeah, the march of the general. These were truly, they were miracles that lifted up Poland and renewed the belief in Catholicism. Von aller Seiten hat man erzählt wunderliche Treffen. From all sides, we heard amazing stories, marvelous incidents. A Gemel von a Madonna hat geweint mit Tränen. An image of the Madonna, of Mary, I guess it was, had wept tears, was haben reingetrifft in a Becher, which were, the tears went into a cup, or fell into a cup. A Zellen von a Kirch hat geleuchtet in die finstere Nacht. A statue, a cross, right, a cross on a church had lit up in the dark night. Lang oiske strobener Armenim in Mundieren, was mir hat schon nicht getragen 100 Jahre, long dead armies in uniforms that had not been worn in 100 years, haben marschiert gegen die Sonnen von Polen und sie vertrieben von befestigter Positions. And these armies, these uniforms, marched against the enemies of Poland and drove them from fortified positions. Gespentische Reiter seien geritten auf gespentische Pferd. Phantom riders rode on phantom horses. Polish Kämpfer, was ihre Beine seien schon lang hoch. Polish warriors whose bones had long become dust, haben wieder übergenommen die Führerschaft auf dem Schlachtfeld. These Polish warriors who had long ago died had taken up the against the battles, übergenommen the battles in Panzer und in Helm with
armor.
With armor and with helmets, mit Schwert und mit Spiels, with swords and with spears. Monarchen und Nonnes, was ihre Neshamos ruhen schon lang in Gan Eden, haben euch eine wieder angetan, körperlich gestalten, getreist das Volk, der weckt zu Spiele. These monks and nuns whose souls were already long in Gan Eden, resting long in Gan Eden, they took on corporal figures. They became real figures again, and they comforted the people, and they woke them up to prayer. These are Do hat a Glock in a Kirch ungeheuben klingen und sich allein, und do hat sich bewiesen a verzeitiger Charakter, was ist reingefahren ergens in a Tempenwinkel und ist verschwunden, wie die Erde wollte sie eingeschlagen. So here, this is another example of these miracles that occurred. Here, a bell in a church began to ring on its own, and there had a carriage, an old-time carriage, came into a place in a winkel, a corner, and disappeared as though the earth had swallowed it up. Do hat der Vogel ungeheuben reden mit a menschlich Loschen. Here, a bird began to speak in human tones with as a human, with human language. En da hat der Hund aufgetaucht von Ehrgeiz und herausgeführt a Bataillon politischer Zellner von a Pastke. And another example of a miracle was a dog which appeared suddenly from nowhere and led a battalion of Polish soldiers, or led the battalion out of a trap. In een Dorf is der Regen gefallen rood wie Blut. In one town, the rain fell as though it was blood. Und in an ander Dorf hat gehagelt mit fish und mit flesh. And in another town, there was hail that was like fish and frogs. In een Fall, wenn de Golach in a Kirch is geblieben on Wein, was is nötig for dem Heilige Nachtmahl. In one situation where the priest in a church was lacking wine, which was necessary for the ceremony, hat a Figur von der Heilige Mutter geöffnet das Maul und es ist davon herausgewonnen, der Wein. There was a statue of Mary, and she opened her mouth, and out of the mouth came the wine, flowed the wine. In Himmel haben sich gewissen allerlei visages, and in the sky there were all kind of strange visions. Sternen haben sich gerangelt. Stars struggled with each other. Feuerdicke Harshonim haben gefochten mit feuerdicke Spießen. Fiery people were fighting with fiery shields. A halblinde Bobbe hat gesehen in Himmel a feuerdicke Schiff mit feuerdicke Zellner. A half-blind old woman had seen in the heavens a fiery ship with fiery soldiers, und es hat über ihr over the ship geflattert a fun mit polnischer Helden, and on the ship was waving a flag with the Polish coat of arms. Die alle Zeichen haben aufgemuntert, der Weg das Gemüt, verstärkt die Emuna. All of these signs had raised the spirits, cheered them up, muntert, refreshed the spirit, and strengthened the strength. Doch hat Adam Pelitzke wievielmal bedeuert, was allein hat bis jetzt nicht bewohnt kein Nest, beigewohnt kein Nest. Well, yet Adam Pelitzke had many times regretted that he alone had, until this time, not experienced a miracle. Tief in Hals knocked allemal der Zweifel. Deep in his heart, there was all the time this doubt. Der Teufel hat 1000 Wegen, wie soll abzuschwachen und abzuleugnen die Wunder von Gott. The devil has 1,000 ways to to weaken and to deny the wonders of God. Houdt allemun for ligmir. He considers everybody a liar. Hat nicht kein zu treu, zu kein shum baloib der light. He has no trust in those who believe. Alle Eder seinen bei ihm Apostel. Every group is for him Pasul is like worthless. Nicht einmal in den Knekht, wenn Politsky is gelegen war und reingetragen in der Motzer vom Land, not one time, many times, when Politsky lied at night awake and thought about the situation of the land of Poland, hat gehört, wie Lucifer teinet zu ihm. He heard the way Lucifer spoke to him. Alle der Zelenissim, die Pravoslavne, afilu die ungläubigen Terken. Everybody talks about miracles, the Pravoslavim, and even the unbelieving Turks. No. Und wie kommt es, was Gott gibt Koach, die apikorische Protestantin zu vielen Schlachen und abzuhalten Segen? And how is it that that God gives power to these apikorism, the Protestants, heretic Protestants, and lets them win battles and achieve victories. Warum schickt nicht auf sie kein Plagen wie auf Perren? Why doesn't he send on them plagues like he did with Pharaoh? Verwus warf auf sie nicht kein Steiner von Himmel wie auf Gog und Magog? Why doesn't he throw on them stones from the heaven like in the battle of Gog and Magog? Hinter die alle Averos, was Adam Pilitsky, hat abgetun, und hinter die alle gemeine Gang, was hat der Leut Theresa, behind all the sins of that Adam Pilitsky, that he had done, and behind all the very vulgar ways, gemeine gang, that he permitted Teresa, hat geläutert dem Ungläubigen das Gefühl, als ein Mensch ist nicht mehr wie ein Chaya und es noch in Teut bleibt von ihm gar nicht a Chutz Stoig. So behind his own sins, and behind what he had, the vulgar habits that he had permitted his wife Teresa, there was this belief that the man is nothing more than an animal, and after death, nothing remains other than dust. I'll just read one more sentence or two. Let's see where, 9 o'clock. Well, no, let somebody else start.
So, are you reading another sentence?
I'll read another sentence or two, all right. Der Aufstand von Politskys eigene Poren und der Straf, was hat sie ausgeteilt, hat noch mehr geschlagen sein Gemüt. The revolt of his own peasants and the punishment that he meted out to them uh, continued to wreck his mood. Almonas und Yusormas haben geweint auf ihn. The widows and the orphans wept before him. Hat gesehen in der Nacht die Gehangene, die herausgesteckte Zungen, die verleiste Augen, die bläu gewordene Füße. Wow. He saw in the night the ones who were hung, the ones with their tongues hanging out, the glazed eyes, and the feet that had turned blue.
Okay.
All right, with that, you can continue this.
All right. Hat gelitten von Verstopfung in die Gedärme. He suffered from constipation, when Weissenisch in der Haut, and scratching on the skin, when Clemenisch in Magen, from a spasm in the abdomen, when Vatican in Kopf and headaches. Zu seinen gewähnt Tag, wenn Pilitsky hat gebeten, auf sich dem Tod. There were days when Pilitsky asked for death for himself, oder geklärt zu machen, an Eck mit die eigene Hand, or thought of ending it all with his own hands, doing it to himself. Hat sich auf viele mehr nicht gekonnt verschickern mit Wein oder Akavit. And he was no longer able to get himself drunk with wine or akavit. Die Vergnügens von Leib seinen euch mehr nicht das, was einmal. The pleasures of the body were also not as before. Hat gebräucht als neue Aufregungen. He required ever new things to excite him. Wenn nicht,
Ever knew what? Say it again. Sorry, I missed that. Ever knew?
To excite him, to get him going, to stimulate him, would probably.
Yeah, right.
Then he is er geblieben unbeholfen. Otherwise, he remained helpless.
Well, is it helpless or impotent?
Impotent. Probably impotent. You're probably.
Yeah, I think impotent.
I think there's a sexual connotation there.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Teresa, die Verscheite, Teresa, the shameless one, die Machashefa, the witch, hat gehabt, der Filter zu, had led him to this, as Verrat hat erweckt in him Taiva, because her betrayal had woken in him desire. Die hat ihm gemusst erzählen mit aller, she had to tell him with all the details, probably, mit aller, waiting for the next, probably Pischefka, mit aller Einzelheiten, with all the Einzelheiten, with all the details.
Details. All the fabulous details.
Details, yeah. Alle ihre affairs, everything about her affairs. Wenn sie hat mehr nicht gehabt, was zuzugeben, when she didn't have anything to add to ihre Unwürdigkeiten, to her unworthy activities, hat sie gezwungen, sie soll austrachten, nicht gesteigene, liebe Aventures. He forced her to think out fairy tales about love adventures, not real, but
imaginary.
Fables.
Imaginary, yeah.
Imaginary, ja. Mann und Weib haben sich gehabt hereingetrieben in ein Netz von Verbrech und Wahnsinn. Husband and wife had driven themselves into a net of criminal thinking and craziness. Hat zugeschanzt, Liebhabers und sie ihm, he had supplied her with lovers und sie ihm Meteresses, and she provided him with mistresses. Sie ist gekommen gucken, wie verunreinigt die Feuersche Melech. She would come and look and see how he would um, abuse,
Defile.
basically have
Defile.
defile, thank you, defile the Polish young girls. Und hat sich untergehört, wie sie hat geplappelt mit ihrer Charlatan. And he would listen in how she was muttering to her, the men who were having sex with her. It's a debauchery, basically, not a charlatan.
It's funny that he used the word charlatan there.
No, but I looked up the word charlatan. It has two meanings, both charlatan and debauchery.
Ah, okay, so it does have.
So
All right,
that
good.
is according to the, let's see, it is the Beinfeld dictionary.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh ja. Hat wievielmal sie geformt, als wird sie zerstechen mit seinem Schwert, und sie hat ihm gereizt, dass sie wird hereintun, some in sein Speis. He had so many times warned her that he will stab her with his sword, and she teased him that she will put poison in his food. Daarbij zijn zij beide gewend frum. In addition to this, or aside from all of this, they were both religious. Gezündeten Licht verheiligen. They lit candles for the saints. Gelaufen zum Galach sich mit Sein. They went to the priest to confess. Beigesteuert Gelder verkirchen. They provided subsidies for the churches with religiöse Monumenten and religious statues. Zij haben gehad in Schloss a Privatkapelle. They had a private chapel in their castle. When nicht einmal, then Adam hat geöffnet die Tür hat, and many times when Adam had opened the door in the daytime, hat getroffen Theresen stehen auf die Knie vor dem Altar mit geschlossener Wirs. He met Teresa standing on her knees, in front of the altar, in altar, not altar. It's in front of the altar with closed eyes, mit Tränen auf die Backen, tears on the cheeks, mit Schäppchen dicke Lefzen, with whispering lips, mit a crucifix zugedrückt to their Brust, with a crucifix pressed to her breast, hereingetan in Contemplatia, totally lost in contemplation. Teresa hat viele geplant, sich verschließen in a cloister and werden a nonna. Teresa had even planned to lock herself up in a nunnery and become a nun. Pilitsky hat gleichzeitig gesollt unter dem bräunen Mantel und die Streck von einem Monarch. And Pilitsky equally, at the same time, wanted to put on the brown coat of and the robe of monk. Nein, das, was Pilitsky ist durchgegangen in die letzten Jahren. Now, this that Pilitsky experienced in the last years, hat man keinem nicht gekonnt übergeben. It was impossible to relate and convey to anyone. Keiner wollte es gar nicht verstanden. No one would have understood it. Gott allein, was kann der Mensch mit all seinen Narrigkeiten und Schwachkeiten, even God, who knows the human with all his foolishness and weaknesses, Randelnischen und Streichlungen, struggles, and stumbles, sinning. Und was ist dazu full mit Barmherzigkeit and Vergebung, and God, who is also, in addition to this, full to his understanding, full of mercy and forgiveness, hat gewusst, wie viel Pilitsky hat gelitten. Gott hat gewusst, wie viel Pilitsky hat gelitten und wie die Neshama seine ist wundig und verschämt. Only God knew how much Pilitsky had suffered and how his soul and how his soul wie die Neshama is wundig, how his soul was Shona Zion. Why did Shona Zion? It should be the Shona Zion, his soul. Maybe that's a dative, I don't know. And his soul was wounded and ashamed. The Shona Zion. I would think it's the Shona Zion. Any thoughts about that?
Yeah.
I think the neshama in this context means his soul.
Yeah, so it would be Zion.
Yeah, so why is it Zion?
Because Neshama would be, if it was dative, it would be the Neshama Ziner,
I know.
not Zion, because it's feminine as far as with a hey, Neshama must be feminine. Anyway, I defer. It's a pity Raphael's not here. He would put up on the grammar.
Yeah.
Hat noch kein Sache so nicht gegart, wie noch hat Zeiten von der Heu. He didn't desire anything as a sign from heaven, an Onsorg, an announcement, an Onsorg, als room in our belt, as an announcement, as is door an oig was that when as there's at this who is looking for an announcement, there's an eye that sees when I there and that he Adam Blitzky dreht sich nicht darum in a Welt von blinden Zufall, is not just wandering around in a world of blind chance. Nur aber als der Signal wird kommen grod by so eine Umständen, but if a signal will only come only in such circumstances, what Pilitsky sich nicht gerecht, he had not anticipated this, the circumstance with Sarah. Man hat den Himmel upon him nicht gewollt, soll tun mehr Unrecht. Apparently in heaven, they didn't want him to do any more injustice. Pilitsky hat geworfen einen Blick auf Jakob und auf dem Weib, was hat sich zu ihm getulliert. Pilitsky threw a look on Jacob and on his wife, who was cuddling up to him. Hat von Sneibertracht die Jeden, wie sie haben gepleptet, geguckt auf dem Portal und einer auf dem anderen. He looked once more at the Jews, how they were looking surprised, confused on this pair and looking at each other. Says Emma, say nicht. It's true, they are not cheating us. They are not. They're not cheating
tricking.
us.
They're not tricking.
They're not tricking us. Good. Whatever in Pilitsky, the ton a geschrei, something in Pilitsky shouted out. A Knäuel is ihm geblieben stecken in Hals, and not remained in his throat. Hat kaum sich eingehalten, nicht zu weinen. He was hardly able to restrain from crying. Hat sich mit einmal der Mund, als die Stimme hat gerufen, Jakob, ein heiliger Mann, wenn hat gesagt, mit einem Festfall. He reminded himself suddenly that the mute one had called Jacob a holy man, and he said with a firm voice, Sei mir Michael, Jacob, forgive me, public nicht gewollt, beleidigen. I didn't want to offend you. Ob du bist wahrhaftiger, heiliger Mann, if you are truly, if maybe du bist wahrhaftig, a heiliger Mann, if you are truly a holy man, wie die Stimme hat gesagt, as the mute one has said, damals darf ich dich respektieren, a viel, wenn du bist Ail. Then I would really have to respect you, even though you are a Jew. Ich bin nicht kein heiliger Mann. I'm no holy man. Ich declare for its enlightened for its an ora geweiniger mensch, but an ordinary guy, a Yid wie alle Yidden, a Jew like all Jews, and efshar noch weiniger wie alle, and perhaps even less than the others. Ha, alle heilige seien bescheiden. Ha, all holy ones are humble. Hey, verfolkers, lost up dem Schwindler Gershonen. Hey, you peasant, attendants, release the Swindler Gershon. Ich will sich schon mit ihm abrechnen an andermal. I will deal with him another time. Du bist mehr nicht mein Arrendar. You are no longer my leaseholder. Hat Geditzki sich gewendet zu Gershon und Geditzki turned to Gershon. Komm keinmal nicht in mein Hof und weiß dich nicht vor mein Ponem. Never come again into my courtyard and don't show yourself before my face. What du wirst auf mein Land heruftreten, if you will tread on my land, will ich die Hint auf dir anreißen. I will sick the dogs on you. I will encourage the dogs against you. Und sie wollen dich auf Sticker zerreißen, and they will tear you to bits. Es kommt mir Geld bei sein durchläuft. My esteemed one, my enlightened one owes me money. Hat Gershon gesagt mit a klar call. Gershon said with a very clear voice, mit a Miene von Emerson, was schreibt sich nicht ob, war kein Schreires und kein Schum Drohungen. And Gershon said with a clear voice and with the appearance of someone who doesn't get frightened for any officials and from threats. Hopa der Arrenda bezahlt. I have paid for the leasehold. Hoba contract afavexel. I have a contract on a receipt. Ha, du hast gar nicht. You don't have anything to kannst nehmen dem Kontrakt mit dem Wechsel und sich damit unterwischen. You can take the contract and the receipt and wipe yourself with it. Das ist nicht recht. That's not right. It's a Wort muss man halten. You have to hold word. Es ist da ein Gericht in Poland. There's a rule of law in Poland. Also, was mich auffordern in Gericht ist, how you will call me in front of the law, call me to justice, Jew. Du bist Meshuggah, you praise him. Wenn es wollt jetzt nicht geschehen, was ist geschehen, if what had happened would not have happened, wollte ich dich gleich aufgehangen da auf dem Ort, und die Vögel wollten gegessen, das Fleisch von deinem Kopf. I would have right away hung you on the spot, and the birds would have eaten the meat of your head, wie die Bibel sagt, as the Bible says. Du bist a Shelema, you are a scoundrel, a Bliago, a swindler, all in their court, everything that's possible. Man hat mir zugetragen, als du hast deine eigenen Brüder reingenarrt in Sack. I have heard that you have even cheated your brothers. Ich will noch das alles ausforschen. I will search all of this out. Und du wirst bekommen dein verdiente Strafe, and you will receive your well-earned punishment. Was unbelangt dem Gericht. And what applies to the law, they wissen, als ob vor keinem nicht gemäuert. They know that I am not frightened of anyone. Ich bin das Gericht. I am the law. Apollos auf sein Land ist beglichen zum Vojevoda. Porridge on his own land is reckoned among the Polish nobility. Poland is nicht Frankreich. Poland isn't France, wo der König hat die ganze Macht, where the king has all the power, when herrscht über die Adelika via tyrann, and he rules the nobles like a tyrant. Da haben wir mehr Macht von dem König. Here we have more power than the king. Wir setzen ihm auf und wir können ihn zu jeder Zeit herunternehmen. Here we place him on the throne and we can take him off anytime, zu jeder Zeit. Nimm es dir in Kopf rein. Get that into your head. Either dein Kopf wird sich weigern an abgehackter bei deiner Fuß before your head rolls at your feet, chopped off at your feet. Ich habe vor der Arrende bezahlt. I have paid for the leasehold. Das, was du hast bezahlt, hast du schon lange herausgenommen. That which you have paid for, you have already taken away a long time. Sorry, I'll end. Ich habe nicht mit dir kein Gesprochenes. I don't have any more dealings, more money matters with you. And läuft wie lang du hast ganze Pläne. Run away while you still have, while your feet are still whole. Okay, I think that's enough for me.
Zwischen die Jiden ist geworden amurmelisch. There was a murmelish, a muttering among the Jews. Gershons Krevim und seine gute Freund haben genommen murmelen zu ihm. Rotten, soll weggehen von dannen. Gershon's relatives and his his supporters began to murmur to him, to mutter to him, and advised him to leave this place. Andere haben immer viele gezeugen bei die Arbel, and others even pulled him by the sleeve. Das Weib und die Töchter haben sich gebeten bei ihm, soll mit sie reingehen in Haus. His wife and his daughters begged him to go into the house with them. Aber Gershon hat geschockelt dem Kopf in der Breit. But Gershon shook his head from side to side. In other words, he refused. Hat verknetscht dem Wurzel von der Nose und herabgelost die dicke unterste Lip. He wrinkled the wart on his nose and lowered his thick lower lip. Unmächtig wie Aid ist gegen Aporitz, hat Gershon von deswegen nicht Bedehe gehabt, sich zu losen beräuben und ruinieren. As powerless as a Jew is in front of a nobleman, Gershon nevertheless did not intend to allow himself to be robbed and ruined. Gershon hat gehabt geschlossen Freundschaft mit Pritzim, was seinen größer von Polizkin. Gershon had had friendships, had close friendships with other noblemen who were more powerful than Politsky, reicher von ihm und mit mehr Macht. They were richer than him and had more power than him. Hat gewusst von die Unwertigkeiten, was Politsky had angetan. He knew about the indignities, the abominations that Politsky had committed und wie hat bei jeder Gelegenheit gebrochen die Gesetzen von der Meluche und von der Kirche. So he knew how that Politsky had committed indignities and that at every opportunity he had broken the laws of the state and of the church. Politsky is gewinn verplontert in Prozessen, was hat gehalten bei Verspillen. Politsky had become entangled in Prozessen, in cases, court cases, in which he had lost. Und so onwären die größte Teil von sein Vermögen. And in this way he had lost the greatest part of his possessions. Wie niedrig mir hat gehalten dem Id in Polen, haben von deswegen die Pritzim nicht zugelost, mir soll mir nicht, dir nicht brechen Kontrakten. However low the Jew was considered in Poland, they nevertheless, the noblemen would not allow mir nicht, dir nicht. Without any reason, they would not allow people to break contracts, zu nicht machen wechseln, and to disregard wechseln promissory notes. Ja, es ist geblieben bei der Schlachter Sach wie Honor. There remained, as far as the government was concerned, the matter of honor. Gershon hat gemacht a Tritt näher, and Gershon took a step closer towards Politsky. Derweil Poritz bin ich der Arrendar. In the meantime, Poritz, I am the lessee. Derweil bist du a geprägter Hund, a gepeigerter Hund.
Peigerte. Und,
Ja, a gepeigerter Hund. In the meantime, you are a dead dog. Adam Politsky is geworden Meshune Reut. Adam Politsky became strangely red from anger, probably. Hat a Reus gehabt die Golle Schwert und sich gelost laufen zu Gershenen. He unsheathed his sharp sword and he ran towards Gershon. Zwischen die Jiden ist geworden von Znai a Gewalt und a Yelola. And among the Jews, there was once again a cry, shouting, and a cry, a lamentation.